doorbell camera wakes to rain in a frame of wet concrete. A breath crosses the mic, quick and near. Headlights smear once across the street and fade. The porch light holds steady. The timestamp at the corner says 2:11 a.m. Seattle sleeps around it. Inside the duplex, a bedroom lamp glows behind a thin shade. A second-floor window shows a still plant and the edge of a poster. The lens is a fixed eye. It does not blink. A figure is not in the frame, yet the sound stays human. Dispatch marks a call from next door. Strange noise, possible argument. The operator keeps her tone flat. She enters the address on Rainier Avenue, Unit B. 2 patrol units roll from 5 blocks out. Their dash cams pick only slick asphalt and the wideness of empty lanes. A nursing student lives here. Maya. She placed a late grocery order, walked back from the bus, and texted a classmate about a lab. The phone stops after that. Her partner, Jordan, says he slept at his place across town. He tells friends he locked in early and turned his phone face down. The first cruiser noses the curb. Body cams capture the porch, the glint of raindrops, the eye of the doorbell lens. One officer knocks, pauses, and tries the knob. It turns, then meets a chain. He calls out. From the back, a dog barks on a neighbor's baby monitor. The officer circles to the alley gate. Unit 2 arrives. The camera angle holds as both officers enter the side yard. A kitchen light turns on inside, then off. They announce and wait. The chain slides free. The frame breathes when the door opens. The living room is neat. A tote on the rug, a jacket on a chair. Far down the hall, a shadow moves and stops. Maya sits on the bedroom floor, awake and stunned, a bruise darkening at her temple. She keeps one hand near her ribs and stares at the closet. A paramedic team rolls in minutes later. No one says blood. They use contusion and pain scale. The body cams watch the work. The camera is too high, then too low. It never feels right for a bedroom. In the kitchen, a smart speaker's light ring holds a cold blue. An officer notes the time on his wrist, glances at the display, and writes it in a notebook. He asks about the door. Maya says she locked it. I think I did. The chain was on. She doesn't know how the door opened. She keeps looking at the closet. Detectives arrive before dawn. The porch cam is bagged and labeled. They pull the SD card and also request the cloud copy. A neighbor prints a still from his own camera. A sedan gliding past earlier in the night. Not fast, not slow, only present. A bus route runs the cross street. Many cameras look down at that lane. Rain quits near morning. The street turns matte. A technician takes the thermostat. Manual changes leave exact timestamps. Faceplate off and reads the log screen. He doesn't speak much. He marks a small rise in set point just after 2. He wipes the display with a paper square, places it flat in a bag, and clips the bag shut. Maya gives a first statement at the kitchen table. Her voice is steady on some words, thin on others. I fell asleep. I woke to the hall light. I heard steps. I said Jordan's name. She looks down. Nobody answered. I think I fell. I don't remember after that. She does not want an ambulance ride, then agrees. Jordan calls in and takes the phone interview. He says he was home. He mentions a show on his laptop. He offers the end time of an episode as a point of reference. He says, I woke up to messages. I drove right over. He uses the phrase, I locked the porch, which the detective notes because there is no porch lock in that sense. Only a chain. Detective Ramos and Detective Chu split the tasks. Chu walks the exterior line. He finds a shallow shoe print on the side path, probably from an officer. He photographs it anyway, heel to toe, then scales it with a ruler. Ramos climbs the interior stair. The hallway carpet shows one place where the nap lies down in an odd way. She hovers the camera and clicks. The frame holds her glove at the edge. Upstairs, the closet door is opened by 2 fingers. A row of hangers, a soft robe sleeve, a shoebox with a torn lid. A makeup bag on the dresser is zipped. A phone charger lies coiled. The bed is made quickly, not tightly. The room looks lived in, not staged. Ramos lowers her voice and asks again, "Who has keys?" "Me and the landlord," Maya says. "Jordan has a copy." The doorbell clip is watched 3 times in the kitchen. The breath on the mic is not a cough. It is the sound you make when a step halts, and the chest holds it. There is a faint brush noise, like fabric on metal. No visible figure, no shape. The rain makes a curtain. The porch light keeps the scene washed and plain. The detectives request vendor logs for the smart speaker. They write the formal name and the serial. They ask for wake history and command fragments around that time window. Smart speakers do not record everything, Chu says later, quietly. They wake on a word and take a clip. The officer nods. He has one at home. A tech collects the Wi-Fi router. Its log notes when known devices join. He notes the model and firmware. He takes a photo of the admin page with the connected devices list. One name looks like a string of letters. Another looks like the TV. The last shows as unknown. He does not circle it yet. He captures the log to a drive and seals both. Across the street, a neighbor's CCTV points to the intersection. At the edge of the frame, the bus lane flashes once from the side. The bus is late tonight. Its dashcam will be in a depot by morning. The detectives draft a request. The depot manager will answer either yes or no. The image in the neighbor's frame is only a white sliver. At the hospital, a nurse cleans a small cut and takes vitals. The doctor orders scans. Maya refuses to change out of her shirt until a tech brings a gown and sets it on the back of a chair. She signs a consent. The Bodycam is not in the room now. The hospital has its own cameras, and those only watch halls. Ramos calls Jordan again. She asks for a consent to search his phone for location and call logs around the night. He pauses, then agrees, but wants to be present. He arrives in a windbreaker, hair damp, jaw tight. He says, "I love her," twice, without being asked. He hands over the phone and the watch. The phone screen shows a face-down sleep mode. The watch shows clean rings and a few HR dips. The step count spikes around the time he claims he was asleep. He shrugs at that. "Bathroom, probably." He laughs at the wrong moment. Ramos writes the word bathroom and draws a small box beside it. Downstairs, the thermostat backplate remains on the wall. The furnace is off now. On a tablet, the building manager pulls an access view, a manual temperature change near the event window. He says the schedule is set to drop at night. Who bumps it? "Only a person," he answers. The tablet screen reflects the detective's collar. The landlord arrives and stands in the doorway. He is careful with his eyes. He lists tenants by name and unit. He says Jordan has a copy key because of a move last year. He says he never made a third key. He offers the main key ring for inspection. It is a heavy ring with brass keys and a tag from a hardware store. The garage behind the duplex is carless and neat. A mop tub, a bucket, a row of nails. A small scuff on the sill near the back door. Chu taps it with a pen. He bags a paint flake the size of a sesame seed. He looks down the shared driveway to the alley where a narrow track runs past recycling bins. They widen the map, ALPR, fixed license plate cameras that flag plate hits. Cameras sit at major arteries. A partial plate hit surfaces 3 blocks south within the hour. It matches Jordan's make and color, not the full plate. The system calls it similar. Chu flags it for a closer look. He requests the raw images to see a missing digit or a bumper sticker. The bus depot calls back. They can pull a copy. The bus passed the cross street in that window. It may show the duplex block in reflection when it turns. Ramos sends an officer to pick it up. The chain of custody sheet is simple: time, name, signature. The officer writes neatly with all caps. By mid-morning, clouds sit low. Ramos returns to the kitchen and watches the doorbell clip again. She listens for what is not there. A second set of steps, a knock, a cough from the street. The clip begins and ends the same way. The breathing is her anchor. The porch light never flickers. She marks one line in the log. Audio, human breath close. Maya returns home with a friend. She moves slowly. She refuses to be filmed and is not filmed. She sits on the couch and folds a blanket over her legs. She asks if she can change the lock. Ramos says yes, after prints are done. Maya says she does not want Jordan to have a key. She does not say why. She does not need to. Jordan waits on the sidewalk. He texts the friend and asks to bring soup later. He speaks to a local reporter on his way to the car. "I'm heartbroken. I just want answers." He looks tired. He corrects the reporter on how to spell Maya's last name. He says, "She's strong," and his jaw pulses again. Digital forensics takes the router image, the thermostat log export, and the smart speaker request letter. They put each into a case shell. They name folders by date and artifact type. They do not guess. They write a plan. Correlate device wakes, local network joins, and any cloud sync that crosses the window marked by the doorbell. The bus dashcam arrives on a small drive. The angle faces forward, but a large pane of the driver's side shows reflections. The camera sees the cross-street light and a silver blur. Frame by frame, a sedan's rear quarter shows a patch of dull primer where paint should shine. It looks like sanding dust, like a repair in progress. Ramos lifts the phone under a desk lamp. She calls Chu into the room. They freeze on the primer patch. They draw a square on the screen with a finger. "Did he mention bodywork?" Chu asks. Ramos shakes her head. She writes the word primer in her notebook and underlines it once. She calls Jordan and asks about the car. He says he bumped a cart at a store lot last week. "Tiny scratch," he says. "No work yet." She asks for a quick look. He hesitates, then agrees to meet at his building garage. He repeats that he wants to help, that he wants the person who did this found. At the garage, his coupe sits on level concrete. The rear quarter panel shows a fresh primer patch under dull light. Tape residue hugs the edge of the wheel arch. He says a friend helped sand it. He cannot recall the friend's last name, only Mark. Ramos takes photos in silence. The camera feels too close, then too far again. Back at the duplex, a neighbor mentions a package camera across the way that catches cars as they pause. The neighbor forwards a clip. The sedan idles for a few seconds. Then the brake lights brighten and release. The angle is low and wide. License details smear. The rain that night is a gray veil. Digital forensics emails an initial note. The router log shows a brief connection from a MAC address not seen before in the home list. The session lasts a couple of minutes. The host name is empty. The vendor lookup suggests a wearable. It could be a watch or a fitness band or a small tracker. Many devices randomize. Some leave a trace anyway. Ramos thinks through the keychain. She calls the landlord again. He swears no other keys exist. She asks Maya about spare keys. Maya frowns, then remembers a time last winter when a copy was made after a lockout. I gave it back, she says. I think I did. She looks at the plant by the window, then the closet. They pull the smart speaker history that afternoon. The company sends a compressed file with timestamps and text fragments. There is a wake a few minutes before the porch ping. The partial phrase is slurred. The assistant thinks it hears a wake word, then stops. It logs a device nearby, close enough to speak, but not command. Jordan returns to the station with a lawyer's card in his wallet, but no lawyer present. He repeats that he stayed home, watched a show, and slept. He invites them to check. Ramos thanks him and nods. She asks about his smartwatch update. It updated last week, he says. Kept buzzing about it. He smiles, then stops. The bus dashcam and the porch clip go up on a split screen. One shows reflection, the other shows empty porch and rain. The primer patch lines up with the moment a breath crosses the porch mic. The two are not proof by themselves. They are lines that begin to meet. Ramos draws a thin pencil line on a legal pad and lets it run into another line. By evening, the case file has a shape. Doorbell audio, neighbor camera, bus dash cam reflection, thermostat bump, router join, smart speaker wake. Jordan's car shows primer he did not report. His watch may be the unknown device on the Wi-Fi. None of it speaks loudly. Together, they begin to say something that fits. Maya sleeps on a friend's couch. She texts once to say she is tired. She asks if the dog next door barked again. The friend says no. The street is quiet. The porch light is off now. The camera still faces the same square of concrete, which looks like all porches at night. Modest, held, plain. Ramos closes her notebook on the table. She writes a short list for morning. Pull the toll cameras south. Check ALPR near the bridge. Request smartwatch firmware version from Jordan's device. Map the router join against the watch's Bluetooth habit. Ask the hardware store about primer and sandpaper from the last week. The list is not dramatic. It is the work. Outside, the rain returns. The frame on the doorbell lens beads again. The mic hears water and a far car. A bus sighs downshifting 2 blocks away. The duplex sits with its chain back on the door. The room upstairs waits with the closet a little open and the bed made quickly. The night that would not stay straight starts to align by inches. Detectives start with the easy lines. They're rarely easy. Ramos signs for the bus dashcam copy and walks it to digital. Chu drives to the bridge ALPR gantry and asks for raw stills around the window. The operator prints thumbnails on thermal paper. The images look like rain seen through lace. He hands over the originals on a drive and logs the handoff. Back at the station, a tech pinches and zooms until the pixels agree on a shape. A coupe with a primer patch on the rear quarter, matching the reflection from the bus. They ask Maya again for ordinary things. Did Jordan ever use the chain? He hates chains, she says they look cheap. Did he know the smart speaker wake word? He sets timers with it. Did he ever leave a spare under the mat? Once. We stopped. She looks at the kitchen drawer where keys live now and keeps her hands in her lap. The router log gives them a thread. The unknown device joined the home SSID for 2 minutes 14 seconds. Randomized MAC. No name. Signal strength suggests it stood inside the living room, 5 to 7 feet from the router. Bluetooth beacons captured by the same router show a companion device, a watch, scanning for a phone. The vendor notation fits Jordan's model. Ramos calls him in. "We're trying to clear all devices," she says. "Can we confirm your watch firmware?" He smiles once, quick. "If it helps." They place the watch under a Faraday sleeve, wake it with a lab tool, and read the version numbers on a diagnostic page. The update he mentioned pushed a week ago. After that update, the watch randomizes its Wi-Fi MAC on first join to any new network. "Do you ever connect your watch to Maya's Wi-Fi?" Ramos asks. "It pairs to my phone," he says. "I don't mess with Wi-Fi on it." "It can use either," Chu adds. "For battery." Jordan shrugs. "If you say so." A hardware store on Rainier pulls a transaction log by partial last name. Cash purchase, sandpaper multi-pack, primer, painter's tape. 2 nights before the call. The clerk remembers a cart with a single item added at the register. Nitrile gloves, medium. "Rainy week," he says. "Everybody paints when it rains." They canvass for more cameras. A package room camera across the street catches the same coupe pausing at the curb at minutes before 2. Brake lights brightening, then dimming. A laundromat farther down holds stills of the car moving south at minutes after 2. An ALPR 3 blocks farther picks a near plate match at 2:09 a.m., enough to request the high-res capture. It shows a sticker on the rear glass, a triangle with a faded hiking logo. Chu photographs the same sticker on Jordan's car. Ramos and Chu sit with Maya in daylight. She rubs her temple where the bruise darkens. "I remember the hall light," she says. "I said his name because sometimes he surprises me." "Has he surprised you at night before?" Ramos asks. "Not lately." "Any argument this week?" "We argued about a study partner," she says. "I told him it wasn't like that." Chu's pen rests on the table. "Do you want us to list this as domestic violence?" Maya looks at the closet again. "I want to be safe," she says. "I want to finish school." Digital forensics lines the artifacts up. Doorbell audio at 2:11 a.m., breath and brush, smart speaker partial wake at 2:09. Router guest list shows the unknown join at 2:10:51, leave at 2:13:05. Thermostat shows a manual change at 2:13. The baby monitor across the fence records a single bark at 2:12, then 2 quieter noises like metal touching wood. Jordan's watch logs a burst of steps from 2:07 to 2:16, a jagged curve inconsistent with sleep. Chu reads the hotel keycard logs from the night before. They asked as a long shot. Jordan didn't claim a hotel, but no entry exists. He did not leave town. His building's garage camera, however, records his car returning at 2:28 a.m. The camera's angle is high. It shows the primer patch as a dull thumbprint. Ramos invites Jordan for a recorded conversation. He sits with a paper cup he does not drink from. "Walk me through your night," she says. Simple version. "I watched 2 episodes of a show," he says. "I think I fell asleep on the couch, phone face down. I woke up to texts and I drove over." "What time do you think you arrived?" "I don't know, 3. "Our camera at your garage shows you parking at 2:28 a.m. He blinks. "Felt later?" "Did you go near Maya's place earlier?" "No." "Your car appears on a package camera on her block before 2. "Lots of coupes like mine." "Yours has a primer patch. It shows up on a bus reflection." He stares at his cup. "Coincidence?" "Do you think coincidences stack well?" Ramos asks. He doesn't answer. "We see a device join her Wi-Fi at 2:10, Chu says. "It looks like a watch." He shakes his head. "My watch stays on my phone." "Your watch updated last week," Chu adds. "New firmware can make it join open networks it knows." "I didn't set that," Jordan says. You don't have to, Chu says. It tries to save battery. He looks at Ramos. Am I a suspect? We're clearing the timeline, she says. We need the truth so Maya can sleep in her home. They pause. Silence is a tool. So are clocks. A tech calls from the lab. The bus dashcam's internal clock is 6 minutes fast. Its file metadata, when corrected against depot GPS, puts the reflection at 2:10 a.m., not 2:16 as the screen stamp suggests. That aligns with the porch breath and the router join. The correction removes wiggle room. The smart speaker vendor returns fragments. The partial wake word is not exactly the brand name. It's Jordan's mispronunciation. Maya once joked about it in a chat. The clip includes half a sentence. Turn on. Then a quiet syllable, then silence. The assistant did not execute a command. The wake died before intent. Ramos and Chu present the corrected times to Jordan the next day. He arrives with a public defender. We verified the bus clock, Ramos says. Your car's reflection was at 2:10. The porch mic caught a breath at 2:11. A device consistent with your watch joined the Wi-Fi and dropped. The thermostat changed at 2:13. His lawyer raises a hand. He denies being there. Ramos nods. We're still collecting. They search his car under warrant. In the trunk, a roll of painter's tape, sandpaper with gray dust, nitrile glove box missing 4. In the passenger footwell, a receipt from the hardware store with a timestamp that matches the clerk's log. Under the driver's seat, a single metal chain link, brass-colored oval, sized for a residential security chain. It's slightly bent. Chu holds the link up. Where's this from? Jordan shrugs. No idea. Do you have a chain at your unit? No. Your parents? No. Friends? He looks away. It's not mine. At the Duplex, Ramos tests the chain mount plate. One screw is fresh. The plate has a nick where a link could have caught. Maya remembers the chain sticking when she set it the previous week. The chain is intact now, but the brass is marked. A small twist arrives by email that afternoon. The router's DHCP logs, when decoded, reveal that the unknown device sent a host name once, briefly, in MDNS, before randomizing again. The string is 5 letters and 2 numbers that match Jordan's customization for his watch on his own network, a vanity nickname he uses for fitness apps. He set it months ago and forgot that some services announce it on first contact. Ramos prints the line and slides it across the table in the interview room. That looks like your watch's nickname, she says. He stares at the paper. Lots of people use that word. Combined with the primer patch, the car loop, the thermostat bump, the smart speaker partial, he exhales through his nose, long. This is crazy. What happened in the bedroom? Ramos asks. He shakes his head. I wasn't there. They don't push. Not yet. Maya agrees to a controlled call. She dials his number while detectives watch the audio trace. She speaks softly. I can't sleep. The chain felt wrong. You should move, he says. For a while. Did you come by? I told them I didn't. Did you touch the thermostat? Silence, then. You always keep it too cold. Jordan, she says. He hangs up. The DA's office asks for a clean storyboard, 1 page per artifact, 1 sentence per inference. Chu writes it the way a map is drawn. Straight lines, not arrows. Bus reflection corrected at 2:10 a.m. Doorbell audio, breath and brush at 2:11 a.m. Router, unknown watch joins for 2:14. Thermostat, manual change at 2:13 a.m. Garage cam, coupe returns 2:28 a.m. ALPR near bridge, similar plate at 2:09 a.m. The page does not accuse, it aligns. A neighbor 2 doors down volunteers a clip late. His porch mic picked a muffled word around the same time as Maya's doorbell ping. Audio techs compare the waveform to Jordan's voice sample from his first interview. The formants, the resonance peaks, are close. Not proof. A nudge. They bring Jordan in with counsel for a second recorded session. Ramos keeps her questions shorter now. Your watch joined her Wi-Fi. I can't explain that. Your car did a loop around the block. I drove by. At 2 a.m? I couldn't sleep. The chain link in your car? No idea. The thermostat? I don't know anything about thermostats. The partial command on the smart speaker? He looks at the table. I talk to mine weird, he says. It hears me wrong. Did it hear you wrong in Maya's kitchen? His lawyer touches his sleeve. We're done, she says. They're not. Digital cross-checks the watch's Wi-Fi join time against its Bluetooth handshakes. The device searched for its paired phone at 65 dBm, a strength consistent with being in the same room. Jordan's phone did not respond. It was still at his apartment, face down, on the couch, as he said. The watch went to Wi-Fi to check for a network it once knew. Maya's. It found it and joined. It stayed long enough to sync health data, then left when it lost the connection, which happens when a wrist moves past a plaster wall. That night, Ramos stands in the Duplex kitchen with the lights off and the router logging again. She opens the door until the chain stops it. She steps back and lets it fall. The chain makes a soft metal brush sound, the same texture as the porch clip's background. She notes the tone, the length. Do you think he planned it? Chu asks. Ramos watches the door. He planned to be someone else, she says, but the house heard him. They draft the arrest affidavit with careful language. Consistent with, investigators observed, according to logs. They leave out adjectives. They include the bus clock correction, the router MDNS leak, the primer patch, the garage return, the thermostat bump, the baby monitor bark, and the controlled call line. You always keep it too cold? When they serve the warrant, Jordan steps back from his door and lifts his hands. He looks at the chain on his own apartment. There isn't one. He glances once toward the couch where his phone lies face down, screen dark. He says nothing until the cuffs touch. In evidence, the objects sit quietly. A drive with reflections, a router with numbers, a thermostat with a memory, a watch with a nickname, a chain link with a bend. None of them speak. Together they point like rain, one drop after another until the path is wet and obvious. The affidavit goes to a judge before noon. The language is clean. No adjectives, only links between artifacts. The judge reads twice, asks 2 questions about the bus clock and the router log, then signs. Detectives choose a quiet hour. Jordan answers the knock and steps back. He says nothing while his hands go behind him. The hallway smells like laundry and wet shoes. At booking, he asks if he can call Maya. He cannot. He calls his mother, then a number that rings out. He sits on a bench and stares at his shoes. In the property bin, a phone, a watch, a ring of keys with a blue tag, a receipt for sandpaper. He keeps watching the ring. The DA's office works the charge decision: assault, burglary, evidence tampering. They do not push beyond what the record can carry. A prosecutor meets Ramos and Chu in a small conference room and runs the suppression risks. The smart speaker clip, admissible if the user agreed to the terms, and the warrant is tight. The router MDNS line, more novel, but it is log content obtained with consent from the lawful occupant. The bus clock fix, supported by depot GPS and file metadata. The chain link, circumstantial, but it finds a home next to the nick on Maya's plate. Defense files early. They move to suppress the assistant logs as a privacy breach. They argue that MAC randomization breaks attribution. They say the bus reflection is pareidolia in rain. They hint at cross-contamination of tools, digital forensics bias. Ramos keeps her answers short. We corrected the bus time through GPS. The router's vendor table indicates a wearable. The host name in MDNS matches the defendant's custom string. She avoids the word defendant outside court and says, Jordan. She avoids victim and says, Maya. Clear words shape clear rooms. Maya agrees to a no-contact order. She changes the lock and returns to her classes. She avoids the kitchen at night for a while. She moves her plant to the bedroom window and leaves the closet closed. Her friends shop with her. Her professor gives her a seat by the door. She nods in thanks and watches the clock without staring at it. Digital forensics completes the ledger page. They align the watch, join with the thermostat change. They show how the watch sought its phone, failed, and fell back to Wi-Fi. They plot signal strength and draw a small oval over the living room. They do not draw the bedroom. They do not need to. A small addition arrives from the hardware store. CCTV of the parking lot 2 nights before. Jordan loads primer into the trunk. He takes one glove from the box and tucks it into a pocket. He does not see the camera. He scratches at his jaw, then looks at his car's rear quarter, like it might speak to him. In court, the judge hears the motions. The defense opens with the smart speaker. The prosecutor points to the warrant and the vendor's policy. The judge denies suppression with a line about limited event-triggered clips tied to lawful process. The router logs are next. The judge listens to a short lesson on DHCP and MDNS and says, I will allow a foundation hearing at trial. The bus reflection is admitted as demonstrative with caution. The chain link goes to the jury with an instruction on weight. Jordan posts bond and walks out under a gray sky. Reporters ask about the case. He says he loves Maya and will be cleared. He looks thinner. He parks his car farther from his building now. The primer patch is new paint, glossy and exact. The tape line is gone. The memory of it is not. Ramos visits Maya on a Saturday. They sit at the table with tea and little to say. It still feels like the house will open by itself, Maya says. Ramos nods. It won't, she says. We'll help it not. They talk about locks and lights and how to sleep. They do not use big words. They agree on a plan that is mostly ordinary life. Discovery turns into boxes with labels. The controlled call transcript sits on top. You always keep it too cold. It is not a confession. It is a seam that stitches the thermostat to the person speaking. The jury will feel it if they are allowed to. The prosecutor thinks in edges, not hammers. In deposition, a bus systems engineer explains the clock drift and the GPS correction. A network analyst explains randomized MAC addresses and why some devices leak a nickname once. A firefighter explains how thermostats log manual bumps. None of them say always. Each of them says consistent with. Jordan's lawyer approaches with a plea. It is narrow and does not name the highest count. The DA calls Maya. She listens, asks 3 small questions, and chooses the trial. Her voice is steadier now. She puts the phone down and goes to class. Trial opens months later with simple slides. The doorbell frame, the bus reflection, a map with the loop, the watch join graph, the thermostat log, the garage return, the chain link. No gore, No drama clips, only pieces that sit still. The defense crosses hard on the router. They find an old forum thread where a similar watch joined networks without user action. It is the wrong angle. The jury sees that the watch could have done exactly what the state says. Jordan does not testify. The courtroom stays cool. In the gallery, someone coughs once. The judge keeps time softly. The jurors write notes when the baby monitor bark is played. It is a small sound. It stays in the ear. The verdict is split but firm. Guilty on burglary and assault. Not guilty on tampering. The judge sets sentencing and speaks with care about technology and doors and trust. Jordan looks down and nods once at the word burglary, like he recognizes it. Maya exhales and folds her hands. After reporters ask her for a statement, she declines. She walks home with a friend. They stop at a corner and wait for a bus. A driver waves them across with 2 fingers lifted from the wheel. They smile once, quick. The streetlight hums. The crosswalk chirps. The world is ordinary on purpose. In evidence, the objects go back to shelves. The drive with the reflection, the router with its logs, the thermostat with its memory, the watch report with the nickname string, the chain link in a paper bag. They are quiet again. They will be kept as long as the rules say, then not. The porch camera is replaced with a newer model. Its lens is clean and a little wider. One evening, Rain comes back to Rainier Avenue. The new doorbell sees it. The porch light holds steady. Inside, the bedroom lamp glows behind a thicker shade. The chain rests on its plate without a mark. The camera watches wet concrete and nothing else. The night stays straight.